The greatest journey in human history began with a single step. No engines, no maps, no roads, no compasses, just people willing to keep walking. When most of us imagine ancient humans, we picture small groups living their entire lives in the same valley, rarely venturing beyond the horizon. It feels logical. The world was dangerous, food was uncertain, and every unfamiliar landscape carried new risks. Why would anyone travel farther than necessary? Yet the evidence tells a completely different story. Long before ships crossed oceans or caravans linked continents, ancient humans were already among the greatest travelers the world has ever known. They crossed deserts without roads, climbed mountain ranges without climbing gear, navigated frozen landscapes during the Ice Age, and eventually spread to nearly every corner of the planet. The real question isn't whether they traveled, it's how they accomplished journeys that still seem astonishing today. For the earliest humans, movement wasn't a hobby, it was survival. Hunter-gatherers couldn't remain in one place forever. Herds of animals migrated with the seasons. Edible plants appeared only during certain months. Rivers changed their courses, droughts dried up familiar water sources, and harsh winters forced entire communities to seek more favorable environments. Standing still often meant starvation, moving meant opportunity. Most journeys probably began as short seasonal migrations. Families followed familiar routes they had learned from parents and grandparents. These paths connected reliable water sources, hunting grounds, berry patches, and sheltered campsites. Over generations, those seasonal movements became deeply ingrained traditions. People weren't wandering aimlessly. They were following landscapes they understood intimately, but sometimes familiar routes were no longer enough. Climate has shaped human history more than almost any other force. During the Ice Age, massive glaciers covered huge parts of Europe, Asia, and North America. Sea levels dropped dramatically because so much water became locked inside enormous ice sheets. Entire land bridges appeared. Places separated by oceans today were once connected by dry land. One of the most famous was Beringia, the vast land bridge linking Siberia and Alaska. For thousands of years, people gradually crossed this frozen landscape, following migrating animals into territory no human had ever explored before. They didn't know they were entering another continent. They were simply following food. That pattern repeated throughout history. People rarely woke up one morning and decided to conquer the world. Expansion happened one generation at a time. A family settled slightly farther than their parents. Their children explored a little farther still. Centuries later, thousands of kilometers separated descendants from the place where the journey had first begun. Humanity spread through countless small decisions rather than one enormous expedition. Water presented another challenge. For years, researchers debated whether ancient humans could cross stretches of open sea. Then archaeology changed the conversation. Evidence shows that humans reached Australia at least 50,000 to 65,000 years ago. There was just one problem. Even during periods of low sea levels, Australia was never completely connected to mainland Asia. Some water crossings remained unavoidable. That means early humans built simple watercraft capable of carrying people across open channels long before written history began. Exactly what those boats looked like remains uncertain. Perhaps they were rafts made from logs, perhaps bundles of reeds tied together, perhaps hollowed tree trunks. Whatever their design, they carried humanity into entirely new worlds. Travel also depended on memory. Without maps, ancient people navigated using landmarks, rivers, mountains, stars, and the position of the sun. Every journey added new knowledge that was passed orally to younger generations. A distinctive cliff, a bend in the river, a solitary tree, a mountain visible from dozens of kilometers away. These became the signposts of prehistoric life. Experienced travelers carried entire landscapes inside their minds. Night travel sometimes offered advantages too. Cooler temperatures reduced exhaustion, especially in hot environments. Bright moonlight illuminated open plains, while familiar constellations helped maintain direction. Long before GPS satellites orbited Earth, people relied on celestial ones. The stars never charged a battery. Ancient journeys were rarely easy. Crossing mountains meant thin air, steep slopes, and unpredictable weather. Dense forests limited visibility while hiding predators. Deserts punished every mistake with dehydration. Frozen landscapes threatened frostbite and starvation. Every environment demanded different skills. Success depended on adaptability. Interestingly, travel didn't only happen because of necessity. Curiosity played its part. Humans are naturally drawn toward what lies beyond the horizon. a distant mountain, smoke rising from an unfamiliar valley, or stories shared by neighboring groups may have inspired exploration beyond immediate needs. Some journeys began simply because someone wondered what was out there. Trade soon expanded these movements even further. Archaeologists have discovered obsidian, seashells, amber, and other valuable materials transported hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometers from their original sources. Many objects probably changed hands repeatedly, moving from one community to another over generations. But trade also required travelers, messengers, hunters, craftspeople, families visiting allies. Movement connected communities long before permanent roads existed. These journeys spread more than goods. Ideas traveled too. A better spear design developed in one valley eventually appeared hundreds of kilometers away. Improved methods of making fire, preserving food, shaping stone tools, or preparing medicinal plants gradually spread through human contact. Innovation moved at walking speed. It still reached astonishing distances. Migration sometimes followed disaster. Volcanic eruptions transformed landscapes overnight. Droughts destroyed familiar food supplies. Rivers shifted away from traditional camps. Competition with neighboring groups increased pressure to seek new territory. Leaving wasn't always a choice. Sometimes survival demanded it. Children likely experienced these journeys very differently than adults. For them, constant movement may have felt normal. Every new landscape offered unfamiliar plants, animals, and stories. Elders probably taught navigation by pointing toward mountains, rivers, or stars, ensuring each generation inherited not only tools, but knowledge of the routes themselves. Travel became education. One of the greatest achievements in human history was reaching every habitable continent except Antarctica. Think about what that truly required: crossing tropical jungles, enduring frozen tundra, scaling high mountain passes, navigating coastlines, surviving deserts, learning entirely new ecosystems over and over again. No other large mammal has adapted to such an extraordinary range of environments with so little physical specialization. Humans didn't grow thicker fur. We learned, we observed, we adapted. Some archaeological discoveries reveal just how connected these ancient travelers became. Stone from one quarry appears hundreds of kilometers away. Decorative shells reach inland communities far removed from any coast. Similar tool-making techniques appear across distant regions where people likely met only occasionally. Distance became less of a barrier than we once believed. Perhaps the greatest misconception is imagining prehistoric people as trapped by geography. In reality, they constantly reshaped it. Every journey expanded humanity's understanding of the world. Every successful crossing encouraged another. Every new campsite became the starting point for future exploration. The history of our species is, in many ways, the history of movement. Modern aircraft can circle the globe in hours, yet those incredible achievements rest upon instincts that emerged hundreds of thousands of years ago. The desire to see what lies beyond the next hill, the courage to leave familiar ground, the determination to keep walking despite uncertainty. Ancient humans didn't possess engines or satellites. They possessed something even more important: an extraordinary willingness to step into the unknown. And with every journey they made, they slowly transformed an unfamiliar planet into humanity's home. Their journeys also reshaped evolution itself. As humans entered new environments, they encountered unfamiliar climates, animals, diseases, and food sources. Each generation adapted a little more to the challenges around them, gradually developing the resilience that defines our species today. At the same time, every migration carried languages, traditions, and ideas into new lands where they mixed with those of other communities. Human history was never a series of isolated stories. It was a continuous movement of people, knowledge, and culture. Every path across a mountain pass or along a coastline became another thread weaving humanity into a single shared story that continues even now.